The public memory of the disaster was shaped by a singular image: a band playing on a tilting deck, a ship rising nearly vertical before breaking, and locked gates below where third-class passengers were said to have been left behind. Yet the surviving testimony and the inquiry records describe a far more complex and disturbing reality, one in which error, regulation, and engineering converged into catastrophe. The first correction concerns the lookout. Fred Fleet did not report a luminous blue iceberg discovered through binoculars. The binoculars were absent from the crow's nest, locked away below, and the night afforded no visual drama. He saw, instead, a dark mass against a slightly lighter sky on a calm sea where the lack of waves made ice harder, not easier, to detect. When he rang the alarm, First Officer William Murdoch ordered the engines full astern and the rudder hard to starboard. In retrospect, that response may have reduced the ship's ability to turn, helping transform a potentially survivable collision into a long scrape that opened multiple compartments. The film also exaggerated the angle of the final plunge. Survivors described a vessel that became deeply inclined, certainly, but not the towering near-vertical structure later fixed in popular imagination. The more sobering detail is not the spectacle of the sinking, but the persistence of light. The dynamos were kept running almost until the end, and the illumination from below decks allowed people in the lifeboats to watch the ship die in full view. Nearby, another ship remained still. The SS Californian lay trapped in ice within sight of Titanic's rockets, yet it did not move to help. Its wireless operator had gone to bed after being rebuked for sending an ice warning, and its officers watched the signals without decisive action. The inquiry records reveal ambiguity, hesitation, and altered logs, but ambiguity does not soften the outcome. Had the rockets been treated at once as distress signals, the night might have ended differently. The ship itself was also a product of engineering choices that made small failures fatal. Its watertight compartments were not sealed towers, but open-top sections that could overflow from one to the next. The hull damage was not a single gash, as early accounts imagined, but a series of narrow slits across several compartments. Iron rivets with excessive slag became brittle in cold water and failed where steel might have held. A pre-existing coal fire in one bunker, visible to firemen throughout the voyage, added another layer of vulnerability. The vessel was legal, prosperous, and celebrated, yet not protected against the precise sort of damage it encountered. The human system was equally fragile. The lifeboat regulations were outdated, written for smaller ships, and Titanic carried more boats than the law required, but far fewer than the number of people aboard. No evacuation drill had been held. Third-class passengers were not deliberately trapped in a conspiratorial sense, but the gates that controlled movement below deck were never systematically opened and supervised when urgency arrived. Language barriers, confusion, and the absence of practice procedure turned architecture into delay. The most enduring irony is that the tragedy was neither simple nor singular. It was caused by a chain of decisions, a night of flat water and poor visibility, a hasty maneuver, a wireless interruption, an officer's hesitation, brittle iron, outdated law, and a crew forced to improvise in darkness. The film captured the emotional truth of loss, but the records show a disaster built not by one villain or one moment, but by many small failures that accumulated until the ship, and the world that trusted it gave way.